Hey guys, how y'all doing? So today we're going to be talking about Roja Dove's Apex. Now this was a fragrance that was released earlier this year in 2022, and there are a fair number of reviews on it on YouTube. And it took me a while to get on this fragrance because the reviews on YouTube that I watched seem to be mixed. People saying that it reminded them of old school 80s powerhouse fragrances. Some thumbnails saying it's not for everyone, and so on and so forth. So I was a bit hesitant, but I ended up actually blind buying the bottle because I found a really good deal on it while I was looking at a bunch of fragrances, and putting my faith in Roja fragrances. I just blind bought it. It's actually not here yet, but I also got a sample from Lucky Scent while I was ordering some other scents. So I ended up testing the fragrance even before it got here, and I want to give you my thoughts on it. And let's get a little bit so I can remind myself. Basically, this scent you'll hear a lot is a fruity chypre fragrance. Now, what that means is that it's fundamentally in the base notes. It's built on a mossiness, primarily using oak moss or other resinous notes, and can give off a very kind of woody, smoky, and earthy kind of facet. That's for chypre fragrances in general, and often they're counterbalanced by a brighter top to make the fragrance more wearable. Now, what's interesting about Apex is it's definitely got that fruity chypre structure. You might hear that about Aventus too, but this is much more of that classic chypre with much more smokiness and earthiness than something like Aventus. It actually reminds me of Mykolaiev's Royal Vintage, which is also a darker, kind of smokier Aventus-like scent. Now, Apex it goes in its own direction. It's not comparable to Aventus. In fact, I think what's interesting is it's actually built around a leather accord at the same time. So you could really call this a leather fragrance as well. A very, very wearable leather fragrance. Oh man, so the opening is really beautiful. Essentially, there's a lot of smokiness right from the top. And it's got this deep resinous quality, but in the opening you also have a lot like a fruity explosion, and you'll see the note of pineapple. But what I get a lot of, especially as the fragrance dries down, is this kind of icy lemon, and other citruses as well. But lemon has I think a quality that makes it a bit unique compared to other citrus notes. It's a bit sharper. It has a little sweetness and juiciness and an icy cold quality to it, which really kind of balanced with that earthy base makes the opening just so well balanced. Now right away I get a star note for me, which is a cypress here, and that's where this reminds me of Royal Vintage, because that also heavily uses the cypress note. One of my favorite notes that in the last couple of years I've grown to love. And cypress for me is very unique because itself it's a wood, but it has a leathery facet. Even without other notes, I think cypress really has a leathery facet and a smoky kind of burnt quality as well. That's really kind of unique to the note of cypress. Yeah, and it may be the cypress, but also other notes in Apex that are contributing. But there's also this kind of nutty, creamy, woodsy quality to the scent. That's, I think, a combination of cypress and sandalwood. Man, and I love it. Now, this opening with the very fruity, juicy elements, and again, it's don't let the fruitiness turn your way, the word fruity, because it's really still a masculine scent from the start. It doesn't smell old school at all, especially in the beginning. It's a modern, crisp feeling scent. It goes into the dry down fairly quickly, into maybe like 15 minutes or so. So you're gonna be you're gonna feel like the scent is definitely settling in, and then it becomes even more earthy, and not so animalic that it feels heavy or overwhelming, but really this kind of earthiness really does feel like the earth, the soil, kind of really deep woody mossy notes in the base that feel very natural. And that's what if you have a really synthetic heavy scent that tries to create this similar kind of leathery earthy accord, then you're going to be left with a very dirty and kind of, for me, often nauseating kind of scent. But when you have high quality ingredients, you get this natural like smoky air to the scent. That's what you get in Apex. And I think because it utilizes some accords that are familiar to people, like what's used in Ventus and the like Royal Vintage, this combination of a sharp woody scent that has a kind of a smokier quality. Because of that, the familiar aspects, it's definitely wearable and definitely modern. Because I see this also as a leather scent, like a smooth, leather scent, the way that I want leather fragrances to be. It doesn't smell exactly like leather. That I think a fragrance more like that would be something like Tom Ford's Ombre leather. But it's really this leather accord that I really enjoy. Because of that, this fragrance does remind me a little bit of Antaeus. Now that's an 80s fragrance, but it's different. Apex has definitely more complexity, more depth to it, and I think Antaeus, because of the air that it comes from, it's more of an aromatic. I have to smell it again, but it has more of this kind of more deodorant-like aromatic quality to it, whereas Apex is more of an earthy scent that is kind of deeper. So that's what I enjoy about this scent. Now, it is expensive, and that's why if you find a good deal, definitely jump on it. But I think you do get more for your money like the other Roja fragrances. I do think that this scent particularly is not getting the love that it deserves, like the other, the entire Parfum Cologne line, for instance, Burlington 1819, Oceania, because it is a more masculine oriented scent, and I think people are not really understanding or appreciating the chypre category of scents as much. But I think there's so much complexity to the scent, and you can tell that a lot of thought went into creating the inspiration and then putting that into a smell, which is really the number one thing for me in fragrances. It's, if you want just a really if you just want compliments or people to say, hey, you smell nice, then there are a bunch of designer fragrances that, at Sephora that you can pick up. The other day, I heard another person get a compliment, and it was Invictus, right? So, you and I are probably looking for something more than that, and something that we can really enjoy as art. And this has enough going on in there. There are really interesting facets that make it interesting. And I didn't mention another kind of standout note for me in this is fir balsam, and that's what's giving it more of this sharp green freshness to it. Really different from oak moss, which tends to be a bit darker and earthier. This fir balsam note really gives us the green quality that I think balances the whole scent out. So really, really beautiful balanced scent that I think will work well, in the colder months, especially, even though, right now it's still very hot and I'm wearing it, and because of the fruity nature, it's very easy to wear. I think you're gonna see really the benefits of that mossy accord as you go into the colder months. So give it a try. Let me know, your thoughts on this scent. I think if you follow my channel and you generally like my recommendations and my taste, then you will like this scent. So there you go, guys. My thoughts on Apex, and I'll see you in the next reviews. Bye.